I hope all of you had an excellent Halloween, and I'm glad you made it back for another episode of Midnight Movies. In October, we focused a lot on horror-themed videos. This month, we're going to have a little more fun with the content I'm going to review. To start off, I have a question for you guys. What is the best Transformers movie? If you said any one of these 4 movies, you are wrong. The best Transformers movie is this one right here. This is easily in my top 10, and I wish I'd seen it in theaters. Unfortunately, I was a very young baby at the time, but I did end up watching it on TV years later and fell in love with it. Nostalgia hits hard with this one. Transformers, the movie, starts out as an extension of the series that we already know and love. It's the year 2005, and the Decepticons rule the planet Cybertron, while the Autobots are secretly planning to take their homeworld back from a secret base. But the Decepticons are listening in, and they're more than prepared for the surprise attack. Within the first 10 minutes, we're already treated to an epic battle between the Autobots and the Decepticons. But wait a minute, something is different here. They're all getting killed.
No! Such heroic nonsense.
This movie has balls. Imagine watching this as a child. All your different characters that you grew up with and are emotionally attached to are all getting slaughtered on screen within the opening of the movie. That is cold as ice. In fact, what's actually funny about this whole situation is that if you watch the special features on the disc, you'll see the people involved in making the movie didn't think anybody would care. They had no idea the fan base was as large as it was, and they only killed off a huge portion of the cast to make way for a new toy line. So in their efforts to expand the Transformers brand, they left a trail of crying children. And not long after, there's an even bigger battle. Lasers are flying everywhere, explosions are going off, everyone's transforming. It is a feast for the eyes. And I know, at its core, this is a children's movie, and the only things getting killed are robots. But there's a lot of fairly adult moments, especially when it comes to how some of these characters are killed. Oh! He got his head crushed. Not only do they violently destroy these characters, they also curse. Maybe it's not such a children's movie after all.
It isn't even dented! Oh shit, what are we gonna do now?
Open. Damn it, open!
Awesome. During this huge battle, Optimus Prime and Megatron face off against each other too, and they beat the hell out of each other, to the point where they're both just critically wounded. And then the movie does the unthinkable.
I fear the wounds are fatal.
Optimus, no!
Do not grieve. Soon, I shall be one with the Matrix.
No! Don't go, Optimus!
Until that day, till all are one.
Till all are one.
Are you crying?
No. Dust from the fan.
They're robots. They're not even real.
You're a monster. That's a lot to go through, huh? Well, that was all within the first half hour of the movie. There's still almost an hour left after this. Let's talk about some of the major characters. My favorite Transformer of all time has to be Starscream. He is so despicable, and the movie represents this perfectly.
How do you feel, mighty Megatron?
This is Starscream at his best. If you've seen the cartoon, you know he's constantly trying to screw Megatron over and take over the Decepticons. After the battle with Optimus, Megatron and a handful of other Decepticons are gravely wounded. So what does Starscream do? Does he get the medical attention as soon as possible? Hell no. he dumps them out in the middle of space to die. Then he does the same thing to Megatron, his leader.
Wait, I still function.
Wanna bet?
I love this rivalry between Starscream and Megatron, and this is one of those crucial relationships that the live-action movies completely failed to represent. And while floating in space, Megatron and his crew get discovered by the main attraction of the movie, Unicron. He's one of the most terrifying and imposing villains in cartoon history, and he's a giant transformer that swallows entire planets. Just take Galactus, slap a Transformer skin on top, and you understand what Unicron is. He's voiced by classic film actor Orson Welles, and the voice acting could not have been any better. Just listen to his commanding voice.
I am Unicron. I have summoned you here for a purpose.
Just like Starscream, Megatron is also at his best. He's always been a character with extremely selfish goals, but always has an incredibly strong willpower. Unicron wants him to find and destroy the Autobot matrix of leadership, the only thing capable of destroying him, which Optimus passed on to Ultra Magnus before he died. He desires this so much that he offers Megatron and his crew new upgraded bodies, and Megatron is so defiant that even in his beaten and useless condition, he tells Unicron that nobody controls him.
You belong to me. No. I belong to nobody! Perhaps I misjudged you.
But as soon as Unicron turns up the heat, he changes his mind and agrees, and we're treated to one of the most awesome looking scenes in the movie. The entire crew transforms into new forms, and Megatron becomes the even more powerful Galvatron, voiced by Leonard Nimoy. That's right, Spock.
I will rip open Ultra Magnus and every other Autobot until the Matrix has been destroyed.
And back on Cybertron, we see Starscream crowning himself as leader of the Decepticons, and I couldn't help but laugh hysterically when it blows up in his face. He thought he had finally gotten rid of Megatron, and you could tell that Megatron is just tired of his shit at this point. So he finds Starscream and with no mercy does what he should have done ages ago to him. What a badass. For the rest of the movie, Galvatron searches for the matrix of leadership and constantly struggles against Unicron's control of him. Once he actually gets the matrix, he doesn't destroy it like he promised to. He instantly tries to turn on Unicron and shits his robot pants when Unicron reveals his true form. And then he attacks Cybertron to teach Megatron a lesson. Again, perfectly represented characters. On the Autobot side of things, after Optimus dies, he puts Ultra Magnus in charge of protecting the Matrix of Leadership. And Ultra Magnus is a loyal Autobot soldier, but he doubts himself as the new stand-in leader of the Autobots, and for good reason, he doesn't really do a good job. Galvatron beats him up pretty easily and takes the Matrix from him. The Dinobots are here too, and they're just as lovable as ever.
Dino good, Dino with sugar on top and a cherry and some whipped cream. Nice, Dino good, Dino sweet, Dino.
Me, Grimlock, not nice, Dino. Me, best brains.
Blur talks extremely fast.
What about me?
Blur, you can help me alert the others.
Absolutely, positively, definitely. Nobody can get the job done faster than I can. Nobody.
And Cup is an old battle-hardened Autobot that is full of war stories.
Reminds me of the night of slave mines on Galganath 7.
Every place reminds you of someplace else.
Experience, lad. You should learn to appreciate it.
But if I sat here and talked about all of the characters in this movie, we'd be here all day. So let's go right to Hot Rod, the young Autobot and hero of the story. He's young, and he's always ready for a fight. And he's friends with Daniel, the young son of Spike, who was a little boy in the earlier episodes of the series. And before Optimus died, he said that an Autobot was going to rise from their ranks and claim the power of the Matrix, and sure enough, it's Hot Rod. By the end of the movie, they all end up inside of Unicron's body, and the final battle begins. Hot Rod and Galvatron go at it, and the Matrix reveals that he's the Chosen One. It upgrades him into Rodimus Prime, the new leader of the Autobots. He beats the crap out of Galvatron and uses the power of the Matrix to destroy Unicron once and for all, saving Cybertron. Transformers the movie is most definitely a product of its time. If it came out in any other era than the 1980s, it just wouldn't have been the same, and I don't know if it would have worked as well. The 80s were full of bright neon colors, and that's all here. Star Wars was also extremely popular in the 80s, and its influence on this movie is undeniable. RC is one of the few female Transformer characters, and look at the side of her head.
Cybertron.
What about my dad?
She looks just like Princess Leia. And what's that weapon in Megatron's hand? A lightsaber. Hot Rod is the young chosen hero on a quest with his friends to get across the galaxy on a ship, much like Luke and his friends traveling to Alderaan in the Millennium Falcon. And he even hears Optimus Prime's voice at the end, much like Luke hears Obi-Wan's voice before destroying the Death Star. And Unicron, a giant round planet-destroying piece of technology. What's that remind you of? The Death Star. Our heroes have to stop Unicron before he destroys Cybertron, similar to the race to blow up the Death Star before Yavin 4 gets destroyed. The music is especially right out of the 80s, and it's completely badass. Just listen to this amazing glam rock goodness. Transformers the movie just recently came out on Blu-ray in the US, so I picked this up immediately. I was waiting for years for it to come out. Yes, it was available on DVD before, but come on, you want to watch this in high definition. And when I opened it, I realized it was one of those double-sided covers that you can switch. On one side, you've got a real fresh, modern piece of artwork, and on the other one, it looks more of like a classic movie painting. This is the one I personally like, but I think that's awesome that you can just switch the cover around. You also have the option of watching it in its original full-screen presentation or the newer widescreen one. It looks fantastic either way. And as far as the live-action Transformers movies, I do enjoy them for what they are. Popcorn fest with a lot of explosions, great action scenes, and little story. But if you're a fan of Transformers and those are the only things you've seen, you're really missing out on a huge part of Transformers history. And I have the animated series too. It picks up right where the movie leaves off in later seasons. So it's part of the official series. It's not like it's one of those one-off movies that are never acknowledged again. But if you have seen this movie before, get off your computer, roll out, and go watch it again. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that like button for me and leave me a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already for more outstanding content, and make sure to like the official GamerThumbTV Facebook page. This is Fabian. Love you guys, and I'm out of here.